Blitz Esports releases new videos every week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. So get this. You drop into a game of Fortnite, you start looting and farming without a care in the world, when all of a sudden, you realize that the storm's quickly closing in. You should be planning your movements ahead of time based on where the safe zone will move next, but sometimes we have no choice but to weather the storm. When that happens, here's how you can best survive.
Before we get started, check out our new kill tracker and leaderboard, the only app that tells you if you've killed a streamer or a mobile, and gives live updates on who's getting all the kills in your game, all in real time, totally lag-free. You can check it out right here.
First, let's look at the numbers. The later in the game it is, the harder the storm hits. If you know how the damage scales, you can think of your health as a time bank. The first circles only hit for 1 damage per second, so if you have 100 health, you essentially have 100 seconds to make it out. It takes about 45 seconds to run the distance of a map grid square, so if you've got 46 health and you're 1 square away from the safe zone, you should make it out alive, theoretically. It's fastest to run straight across flat terrain, since traveling 2 axes will take more time and in turn, health. And if you're in a tight spot, bouncers, launch pads, and other mobility items can get you moving much faster. But what if you're just too far away to get to the safe zone before the storm hits? You're gonna have to buy yourself more time with healing items, but you also need to know just how efficient different items really are. Since it costs time to use heals, all the healing items become less efficient when you use them in the storm. For example, bandages. It costs 4 seconds to get 15 health from a single bandage. But when you add in first storm damage, you're only left with an 11 health net gain, making it only 73% effective. If you're caught out in the first or second storm with a stack of bandages and you want to stay topped up, use a bandage every time your health hits 64. Since it takes 4 seconds to use, by the time you hit 60 health, the bandage will kick in, topping you back up to a full 75. As the storm damage ramps up, the storm becomes much more difficult to escape. Healing items become less and less efficient, and after a while, you won't be able to even out-bandage the storm, no matter how many you have. In the first few storms, a slurp juice is one of the best items for staying topped up. A slurp juice gives you 2 heals per second, so you'll still be gaining health through the first 2 storms, while the third storm damage will cancel out entirely. But after the third storm, medkits are the only thing that will buy you actual time, since the health gain from bandages won't make up for the damage you'll take in the time it takes to actually use them. Getting caught out in the late game is essentially a death sentence. But there are some extreme situations where you have no choice but to heal yourself through a storm. Let's look at this moment from the Fortnite Summer Skirmish Grand Finals when 3 pro players survived long enough for the storm to shrink down to nothing.
To match that of blind, who will out-heal the most? Morgoss with another medkit. Sam dropping on down, trying to spray. Morgoss in the 1v1. Will he get the perfect game? He does!
Tournament points and a $25,000 bonus is on the line, so these guys have 2 choices: fight or heal. Sam has no choice but to fight. He has no healing items, so he's gotta find the 2 elims to win. With 88 health, this gives him 9 ticks of storm damage to finish his opponents. Poach isn't in much better shape. He has 14 bandages, but with the storm hitting for 10 damage a second, he only really has time to use 2 of them, effectively buying him an extra 3 seconds of storm time. Morgoss is in the best spot. He has multiple medkits plus a campfire, giving him the largest potential health bank of all 3. But to actually survive the storm, Morgoss has to carefully time his medkit usage and avoid being found by Poach and Sam. Since you can't use a medkit if you're at 100 health and the storm does 10 damage per second, you need to make sure you can start your medkit at least a full second before the storm hits you with the first tick of damage. One way to do so is to exit the storm intentionally, so you take a single tick of damage before you run inside to start healing before the storm hits you. As the storm shrinks down, we see Morgoss already healing as Sam pushes down to find the kills on him and Poach. Poach immediately starts bandaging in hopes that the extra 3 seconds will be enough to outlive Sam and Morgoss, but he ends up falling first. As Sam sprays down the buildings, Morgoss keeps his cool, finishes his first medkit, and immediately drops a campfire to buy himself an extra couple of seconds before starting on his second medkit. Sam, desperate to find his last opponent, sprays away until his health finally ticks down to 0, giving Morgoss the victory royale and the $25,000 bonus.
With the victory, and look at the hype!
The best way to avoid dying in the storm will always be planning your movements in advance so you're not caught outside when the safe zone starts shrinking. But for those unavoidable situations that find you caught outside, knowing the storm damage values and properly timing your healing can buy you the precious extra time for you to make your escape. Blitz Esports releases new videos every week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out.